guys, this is Christy Falk with Create with Christy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the U.S. Well, normally I am going live. I go live every Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. But this week, I'm doing something fun. Last week, I wasn't able to go live because of being sick. This week, I'm at a crafting retreat, so it's a much better reason, at least more fun reason. But it's a 5-day retreat. Started on Wednesday and on Sunday. I'm recording this on a Tuesday, so I'll be packing up as soon as I'm done. So I'm really looking forward to it, but I didn't want you guys to miss out on another class since we weren't able to do anything last week. So this week I am featuring the Timeless Charm Bundle. It's in the online exclusives. I've actually done a card class at home for all of the brand new sets that are in the online exclusives. So make sure you check that out. I'll have a link down in the video description that you can click on so you can see everything that's in the online exclusives page on my online store. Anything on the online exclusives page is not in a catalog, but they are available when you order online. Okay, now, first off, I'm going to show you how you get some card kits for free when you place an order with me. So here's this picture popping up. If you place a $35 order before shipping and tax, and use that host code you see in the picture, then you'll get the card kits free that make 2 each of those 3 cards that are pictured. Those are the ones I'm getting ready to make here in just a minute. If you bump it up to a $50 order before shipping and tax, and using that host code, then you will also get added to the card kits a full pack of the 2023 to 2025 in color dots. Love these new colors. I really like them a lot. And the dots are gorgeous. I love how they shine. And you'll get to see those here in just a minute. So make sure you get those orders placed. Now, if your order is under $150 before shipping and tax, make sure you use that host code. But if your order is $150 or more before shipping and tax, then you want to make sure that you do not use that host code. Remove that host code because I want you to still get the Stampin' Rewards from Stampin' Up. You'll still get the card kits and the embellishments from me. Okay, now I'll show you what you get with your order. These are the card kits. So with that $35 minimum order before shipping and tax, here are the kits. I do the embossing and the die cutting for you. You can see how this one's embossed. There's some die cuts in here. So everything, you'll see what the kits look like as I'm making the cards. So this is what you get for your $35 order for free. And you also get the envelopes to make both the cards. Now, if you bump it up to that $50 order before shipping and tax, here are the in-color dots. You'll be able to see all of them. I don't want to open this one up. There's also the pebbled path that's up here at the top. So that is what you get if you place that $50 order or more before shipping and tax. Now, one thing that's going to be different this month, for those of you that still have bonus days coupon codes, your total needs to be after you add those coupons. So say you do a $35 order and then put your $5 coupon on and it brings it down to $30. You'll have to add a little something more to get it back up to that $35. That way I can still afford to give you these free. So the total is after you put the coupon codes in, but before the shipping and taxes figured in. So that's what you get. And make sure you use that host code for orders under $150 before shipping and tax. And you can see the host code down the bottom left corner of the screen, but you can also find it by going down the video description and clicking on the card class at home link down there. And that will give you the host code. Now, if you're watching this after August 23rd, when you click on that link, you're going to see what I currently am offering for free, because this is only until August 23rd. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with card number 1. Okay, before we get started, I do want to show you the bundle. The images are so cool. I really like how they look. These look good colored in, but you can also stamp these watermark things behind them, and I'll be doing that on my second card so you can see how that works. And then all these dies, there's some that die cut these images. There's one right there. And then the others are all standalone die cuts, and you'll see those in action here too. So with this first card, I used these 2 dies here, and I also used the grass one here, these 2 little ones, and then I also used this one, and I'm going to need this one because this one is a stamped image with the die cutting. I do all the die cutting except for stamped images, so I'm going to need that here because everything else in the kit has been die cut already. And the stamps I'm using I'm just using a couple. I'm using Happy Birthday, My Dear. I'm going to use this one right here. And I'm also going to use this one and this one. Okay, first off, let's get some stamping done. This is a piece of basic white that's 1.5 by 2.5. I'm going to grab my pretty peacock ink pad and ink this stamp up here. I'm going to stamp this close to the middle, just as long as it's on the paper, not too close to the edge, because that's going to be die cut here in just a minute. So I'll put that over to the side. I also have a piece of basic white that's 3 1/4 by 1/2 inch. And I'm going to take the Happy Birthday, My Dear. I'm going to ink that up with a pretty peacock. And I'm going to stamp it over here on the left side, like so. There we go. And I am going to cut, the reason I put it over here on the left side is because I'm going to cut at an angle right here. There we go. I just wanted to have that end to be a little different. So that's all ready to go. And then I've got one more thing to stamp. This is the inside of the card. This is the 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of basic white. First off, I'm going to grab this one here. Use my pretty peacock again. I'm going to stamp it a couple places here. All the way across. Let's go that way on this one. And then I'm going to take this one here with Lemon Lolly. I will ink this up. And I'm going to kind of put this, it's going to be almost like a behind thing. Nice little faint look behind it. Because I thought it needed a little bit of a filler. There we go. So there's the inside of the card. Okay, now I'm going to grab the last piece of basic white that's 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And I'm also grabbing a piece of the Fresh as a Daisy DSP. This is the DSP I'm using for the class. This is a 5 1/4 by 1 1/2 inch piece. And I'm going to go ahead and attach this right now. So let me grab my seal. And I'm going to get this going here. This is a brand new one. I forgot to reel it up. And then I'm going to put this along the right side. I think it doesn't really matter. They're kind of going every which way, but I think that probably looks a little better. So I'm going to make sure I get it right along the edge, like so. Now I'm going to do some stamping over here. Normally I would do the stamping beforehand, but I want to know where to put this. So I'm using my Lemon Lolly again. And I'm using this stamp here. And I'm going to kind of do like an oval type thing. I'm going to go over here and stamp a couple times. I don't want to stamp on the DSP. I'm just kind of I'm going to make a little background for my die cuts. Looks like we need a little dark one there. Let's put another light one there. You just kind of play around with it. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It just kind of puts like a nice little faint thing. It's going to be behind. I think I'm going to put another one up here. Okay. So that, I know it looks like a mess right now, but it looks really neat when we put those die cuts in front of it. Okay. I've got all of the stamping done, so let's get the die cutting machine out. Okay, I have my Boho Blue Mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And to do die cutting with this, you need the plate number 1. So I'll put that in. And a little cutting plate, number 2. The only thing I'm going to have to die cut is this one right here. So I'll grab this die. Make sure it goes right around the image. That looks pretty good. Now I'll put some tape. This is Post-it tape. You can also use Post-it notes. Just use the adhesive side of the Post-it notes. That works just as good. I'm going to put another cutting plate on top. Now I'll run this through. And this is how the same sandwich that I die cut all of the other die cuts you're going to see here, because this is the only thing I'm going to be die cutting here during the class, since everything else in the kit is die cut already ahead of time. And let me get this off. There we go. And there's that. Easy peasy. Okay, let's go ahead and put this away and finish the card. Okay, now I've got a piece of pretty peacock cardstock, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. This is the card base. So I'm going to line those corners up. Grab my bone folder. Get those ready to go. I'm going to grab this piece here. If I can get hold of it. There's the DSP piece. I want a piece of Lemon Lolly ribbon. This is from the Sheer Ribbon Combo Pack. The colors that are in it are Bubble Bath, this Lemon Lolly, and Azure Afternoon. And you'll see the Azure Afternoon in my last card. I did not use the bubble one this time. But this one will go right here. Now, it is sheer, so if you're okay with seeing the flowers underneath, that is totally okay. I'm kind of moving mine so the silver border here is the only part that's on top of the DSP, okay? I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to use, this is something I just started doing, and it works really well. I'm using my tear and tape. Looks like this one's about gone, but I think I'll have enough. So I'm just going to take a couple pieces here, just so I'm ready. I'm going to place this on again because I think it moved on me. Okay, I know I've got that in the right place. So I'll just put one of these right across. Bring this one around. Get it lined up. And then I can put this on there. Now the nice thing about using the tear and tape rather than Scotch tape, I'm going to peel these off so I will have adhesive on that ribbon and it's going to make it stick to the card a lot better. So I'm going to start doing that, I think, with my ribbons. So now that the ribbon's on there, I'm going to put some seal on the other places I need it. Make sure I get some in the corners here, along these long sides. Now I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool. I think it's a little easier to get the backing off. And make sure you push the tear and tape down, because sometimes if it's not attached really well, that makes it a little harder to get the paper off. Let's see if it, yep, there we go. And I find it's easier to start in the middle rather than at an end, because a lot of times when I do it at the end, I start lifting up the tape too, and I only want the paper to come off. So if I go in the middle, it usually works a little better. Not always. But now we've all got adhesive there too, so that's going to make it stick really good. Now I like having the DSP for this card on the right side. And I'll just put this right here in the center. Okay. Now I'm going to bring in my die cuts. Now when you get the card kits, if you place that order, I've got them all in little baggies for you because there are a couple little pieces. Now the die cuts on the other cards are bigger pieces, so they're not going to be in little baggies. They'll just be in the envelopes. But because these little ones that are in here, I didn't want those to get lost. So if you get the card kits, you'll get double what you're seeing here. And then there's some that won't have all the little pieces out. You just go ahead and just pop them off. They come off really easy. Okay, those are all ready now. So I'm going to be kind of laying them down just to get an eyeball where I'm going to put them. I'll end up lifting them up again here in a minute. But, oh, where'd my stamped one go? There we go. Because that one is kind of over here. So I'm just going to show you how they look, and then I'll probably lift some up again. This goes right here in the middle. And then I'll be putting these little guys down here as filler, okay? So I've already done the placement for you, so I'm just going to look at my original so I know where I'm putting it. I'm going to use my silicone mat. Turn this over because I'm going to use my multi-purpose glue. I think it's a little easier, and because the stem here is so narrow, if I use my seal and do my little check, sometimes it'll rip. So I think this glue is going to make it better. It also makes it to where I can turn it around or move it around for a few minutes. Well, a few seconds anyway, while the glue is still wet. So I'm looking at my original, and this is about where I put it. So once you've got it where you want it, then put pressure on it. That helps make the glue soak in, and it sticks on really good. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is this one. So I'll do the same thing. And yes, I made a little boo-boo. I edited that out. I wouldn't have been able to do that in the live. There we go. That's why there are two sides of cardstock. Okay, I'm going to bring this back in, and this one is kind of being an angle like so. Hold that down. Oops, the ribbon moved on me. There we go. That's pretty good. And now with this piece right here, you know what? I think I'm going to wait a minute to put this on, because this one, no, I take that back. We are going to put that, was forgetting that this does cover it up a little bit. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue, just a little bit, not a lot. This is another reason I like using the silicone mat. If I get a little too much, which are a couple places I can tell I did, I'm not going to worry about getting that top leaf because I want to have something to be able to hold on to. You can just tap it off of here. That'll take some of that excess glue off. And then you can peel it off of the silicone mat once it dries. And now this one is going to go on kind of over here a little bit of an angle, not a humongous angle. There we go. Hold that down. Now this was done, I forgot to give you the sizes. This one was done out of a piece of lemon lolly that was 1 3/4 by 2 3/4 inches. The white one I already told you. The copper clay, this is a 2 3/4 by 2.5 inch piece. So that's copper clay cardstock. This one is crushed curry, which is out of a 1 3/4 by 3.5 inch piece. So I'm going to turn this over. I want this one popped up. Okay. So I'm going to use my mini Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm just going to put one for this flower. I'm just going to put it right here in the middle. It just fits. And then I'll put another mini behind this one. Now with these leaves, I think I can still, the big leaf, I can still put a dimensional on here, a mini one. But these little ones, I at least want to get one on this one here. I'm not going to worry about this one because I want this to be supported down here. So what I'm going to do, we've got these borders. If I do it right here in this valley, it's still too fat. So I'm going to go kind of in the middle and cut up to that point. And I can take this off. That makes a nice thin one for me. There, and that fits a lot better, okay? So I'll go ahead and take the paper backings off of these, making sure I hold on to the leaves, because when I flick this up, I don't want to be ripping that apart. Now this little thin one may not come off. I'm going to have to do that one with my hands. There we go. That's why I don't do it with my hands. I always end up dropping them. That's why I use my Take Your Pick tool. So I'm going to put this right here in the middle, like so. I'm kind of laying it down easy, so if I need to pick it up, I can. I think that's going to be good. So I'll go ahead and push down and get that where I want it. Now, I think I'm going to put my greeting down first, so I can eyeball where I want to put these. So this is the Happy Birthday Dear. It needs dimensionals. I'm going to use the regular sized ones on these. I'm only going to put one on each end. Leave the center part without anything, because we're going to have all those flowers underneath it, and that'll hold it up. So I'll take the paper backings off, if I can get a hold of them. There we go. And I'm going to line the straight left edge of this with the straight left edge of the white, and kind of cover up where all of these meet. I'm okay with some stems showing down here if they do, but it kind of gives it more of a finished look, because it looked kind of funny there, didn't it, until I put this on. Now it looks a lot better, and it makes sense now. I didn't just bunch them all up. I kind of wanted them spread out a little bit underneath that Happy Birthday Dear. Okay, now I'm going to grab this copper clay piece, let's see, I told you 2 3/4 by 2.5 copper clay. That actually die cut this and this. So I'll just put a little bit of glue on here. I like this. A lot of times with grass and things like that, I'll still use the greens, but I like being able to use different colors too. So this turned out pretty good. I like this copper clay, and this being pretty peacock. So I'm going to kind of put this down here at an angle. That looks pretty good. Hold that down for a few seconds. Now we've got these little guys. Now I think it needs a little something right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue on here. Get a hold of it. And I'm going to see if I can get one little leaf on there. There we go. I kind of like that leaf hanging onto the greeting a little bit. Okay. Now we'll bring this one in. Put a little bit of glue on here. So these little ones make really good fillers, because I thought we needed some pretty peacock over here. So that's why I grabbed this one. And there's a little bit of a hole right there. So we'll just do that. There we go. So the front is done, almost done, almost done. I'm going to grab another piece of lemon lolly, that same ribbon. This is a 4-inch piece. And I'm going to, usually I would thread it under here, but I could never get it angled the way I wanted it to. So when that happens, just go ahead and tie it in a single knot. Get that knot near the middle. Don't worry about it not being perfectly, because we're going to trim it up anyway. Look and see which side looks better. That knot at least looks better. I've got this twisted a little bit. That'll work. Okay, I'm going to grab my glue dots. Put it right there on the knot. And then I'm going to put it on the ribbon right underneath the greeting. I just thought it needed a little something down here. And then to get this to angle a little bit more, I can tug on it once it's attached. Just hold on to that knot and tug it down. And that usually helps. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. Now I'm going to grab my scissors, trim these at an angle. That one didn't need to be cut as much. This one needs to be trimmed a little more. Oops, I've got a little glue on my fingers and the ribbon's sticking. That looks about the right size. There we go. But if I had tied that on, it would have been going this way, and I really wanted it to go this way, so that's why I did that. Oop, I need to trim that just a little bit more. Perfect. Okay, now we need to put some of that bling on. So I told you a minute ago I'd show you, open this up. Now this is my partial one, but that gives you the Pebbled Path, the Wild Wheat, Moody Mauve, Copper Clay, and Boho Blue. Love these colors. I love the shimmer to these. Now I decided to use Copper Clay on this one, and I'm going to use one each size. I'm going to grab a large one. I can get a hold of one. There we go. I'm going to put it about, let's do it right about here. Then I'm going to grab a small one and put it here in the bottom left corner of my greeting, and grab a medium-sized one and kind of bunch it up over here. And if you want to add more on, you definitely can, but that's all I did for this card. And then I'll grab the inside of the card that we did a little bit ago, and I will put that, if I can get it going again, and I'll just put this on the inside of the card. Okay, so card number 1 is all done. So let's get ready to make card number 2. Okay, now with card number 2, I'm not using the dies in the Timeless Charm, but I am using some stamps. I'm going to use all 3 of these water brush looking ones. I'm going to be using this flower and this leaf and this one right here. And I'm also using the Because of You, We've Made It Through. Okay, those are all the stamps. And then I did use the Nested Essentials dies. These are in the annual catalog. And the one that I used is the largest die of the rectangles. And this is already die cut in the card kit. So I won't be needing that today, but that's what I used for the card kit. Okay, I'm going to get some stamping done. So I'm going to grab this. This was die cut out of a piece of basic white that was 3 1/4 by 2 3/4, using that largest die of the rectangles I just showed you. I'm going to grab my Pebbled Path ink pad, and all the images I'm going to stamp. So first off, I'm going to grab the flower, because that one is in the middle. So I'm going to kind of put this in the middle. Hold it down for a few seconds. There we go. And then I'm going to grab this one here and put it right next to it. Kind of angling it a little bit. There we go. And then this little guy here is going to go right here. Okay. So I probably could have moved those over a little bit, but that's going to be just fine. Now I'm going to grab the whitest of those, of the watercolor, or watercolor wash. There we go. Stamps. And I'm going to stamp this. It's going to go vertically like this. So I'm going to do it twice. I'm going to stamp it over the flower. That's going to get over the others. That is fine. I kind of want those to overlap. That gives it a neat look. So that colors that in. That's all I'm going to do with the Lemon Lolly. The other 2 are going to be done with Garden Green. So I'm going to take the long, narrow one. I'm going to stamp it a couple times over this leaf one here. So there's one there. I'm actually going to turn it over because I kind of wanted both ends to look a little different. And overlap them again. Put it right next to it. So now I've got some there. And then I'm going to take the shorter one. I'm going to stamp it above it just a little bit. Ink it up again. Turn it over. There, so it kind of meets in the middle. Okay. So that's just another way to color those in. If you need to make a quick card, that's an easy way to color those in. So I'm going to put that to the side. Now I'm going to grab a piece of Garden Green. This is a 3 1/2 by 1/2 inch piece. I'm going to do that Because of You, We Made It Through. Grab my Pebbled Path ink pad. I'm going to stamp this close to the center, like so. Hold it down a few seconds. Oh, that looks pretty good. And that is all done. So we're all done stamping. I've already done all the die cutting, so I don't need to get the die cutting machine out. I'm going to grab my scissors, And I want to have a little bit of a banner here. So I'm going to clip a little notch right here in the center. And then go from the corner up to the top of that slit I just made. This lets you know where the center part is. It just makes it so your banner looks a little better. Then angle it to the top of that slit. Because if I did that, if I started in the corner and made little slits, it was going to look really cockeyed. So doing that little center, so clip a little center, that gives you a little guide. And then you just go from the corner to the top of that slit. And do it again on this side. And there we go. So that's ready to go. So put that to the side. Get rid of all these little pieces. I'm going to grab my card base. This is a piece of garden green, 5.5 by 8.5. This color has been around a long time. It's a really pretty green. Get those corners lined up. Okay, so we've got that ready to go. I'll put that to the side. Then in the kit, there's a piece of lemon lolly, 5.25 by 4 inches, and I embossed it with the exposed brick 3D embossing folder. So I didn't bring the folder over, but this gives you an idea of what it looks like. It's one of those that are square ones, the larger ones, but it's a 3D one, so you get the nice dimension. Then I'm going to grab a piece of that Fresh as a Daisy DSP. This one is a 2-inch by 4-inch piece. Turn this over, grab my seal. Oh, get that going again. Well, there we go. If I don't do that little cut right, I always have to wheel it up again. Okay, now these flowers, some of them are going upright. Actually, this piece looks okay. Some of this, if you get the kit, some of them you can see a stem, so make sure they're going upright. But this looks pretty good. So this is my bottom. I'm going to have a little bit of the lemon lolly show on the edge. There we go. So that's ready to go. I'm not going to put any ribbon around it, so I can go ahead and put this on the card base. Oop, there is a little bit of paper here. Grab my paper snips. Trim that off. I noticed that a little bit on my first card, but this one is showing a little more, I think. So just cut that off. There we go. Now I'll put some seal on here. And with the fold on top, I'm going to put this right here in the center of the card base. Okay. Now I'm going to use another piece of the Fresh as a Daisy. This is 4 by 3/4. This is what it looks like on this side. So it's not this one. It's the other green one with some daisies. But I wanted to have the textured side showing this time. So I'm going to go ahead and put some on each end. And put one right along the middle. And I'm going to put it kind of in the center, left and right. Maybe over to the right just a little bit. Make sure it's straight. There we go. So I'm going to have that down. Now I'm going to grab this image here and the greeting. So I'm going to go ahead and put some adhesive on the back of this greeting. You don't have to go all the way to the end because it's going to be hanging off, but if you do like I did, it's okay. I'm going to put this right here. It's okay if the bottom part is hanging off the bottom. I just kind of want it on the bottom part of this, underneath the bottom of those flowers. I'm laying it down so I can move it down because I can tell I did not center it left and right because I want these ends to be about the same length off the edge of the paper. Straighten that up a little bit. I think that's pretty good. So go ahead and put that on. I'm going to turn this over. You can see not much of the end, so it almost does line up, but it's hanging over just a little bit, but that is totally okay. Now I'm going to put this on with dimensionals. So I'll put one in each corner. And you know what? I think I'm going to put one in the middle. Definitely one in each corner, but I think that middle one will help it from caving in on me. Remove the paper backings. Now this card goes together really fast. We're almost done already. And put this here. I'm going to center this within this pebbled path piece. I'm going to kind of line up the top edge of the banner with the top edge of that pebbled path piece. There we go. That looks pretty good. So since I like it, I'll pop that down. There we go. Now, I thought it needed a little something, so I'm going to be brave. This is a 9-inch piece of white twine. It comes in the Baker's Twine Essentials pack. I'm going to tie this in a little bow. And whenever I'm right-handed, so I always start here on the left end. Don't start doing your loops here in the middle. Kind of go to the end, because you want this part to do all of the wrapping. So it ends up taking up more of the twine. Now, I made it 9 inches. It's plenty big enough, so that way I can play around with it. One end is going to be a lot longer than the other right now, but like I've said before, I just trim that off. I'm trying to make the loops about the same size. I don't want them too big. When they look pretty good, then I can kind of hold on to that center and move those down, those tails down a little bit. Now I'm going to put this on with glue dots. Now there's a little trick, because this knot is really small, as you can tell. So I'm going to grab my glue dots, put the knot right in the center of one, and while it's still on the paper, I'm going to pinch that glue dot to make it littler. Or smaller there. Littler is probably not a word, is it? I'm going to make that a little smaller. And then I'm going to put it right here on the bottom right of my banner. Kind of angle it a little bit. I don't want it to cover up my through down here. Squeeze this down. If you feel a little bit of a glue dot, when you bring these tails down, those will actually go in that glue dot and cover it up. So yep, that worked out. I'm not even feeling the glue dot at all anymore. But that's attached really good. Kind of messed up that tail a little bit. Let me see if I can straighten that out. There, that looks better. It doesn't look as frayed. Okay, now I'm going to bring my scissors in. I cut each. I'm going to leave them a little longer, but I don't want them to go past the edge of the card base, because I want them to still go in that envelope. So there we go. We've got that on there. Now we need to put some bling on there. So bringing these in. This time I'm going to use the pebbled path, since there's pebbled path in here. I'm going to grab the large one, and I'm going to put it here in the center of the flower. I went back and forth making it the medium or the small, medium or the large. So if you want a little smaller, the medium will work too. But then I'm going to grab a medium one and put it right here, and grab a small one and put it right here. So that gives me my little triangle. So the front is all done. We need to do the inside of the card. So I'm going to grab a piece of basic white that's 5 1/4 by 4. And here's my last piece of the Fresh as a Daisy. This is 3/4 inches by 4 inches. It's the same paper as the one I used on the front. It looks a little different because they're just different daisies on the paper, but this is from this same pack, or sheet, I mean. Put some adhesive on each end, along the center. And this one I'm going to put on the right. I'm going to leave a little bit of white showing, since I left a little bit of yellow showing on one side of the front of the card. We'll do that. Looks like I might have this one too long too. Yep, just a little bit. I'll clip that off. Go ahead and put some adhesive on here. Now, I decided to put on the right side, since the paper's on the left side on the front. I thought, just to have it look a little different, we're going to have this go on the right. So you've got it like this, and then you open it up, and there's a piece on the right. But you can put this on the left if you like it better. So either way is going to look great. So there is card number 2. Now get set up for card number 3, and we'll be done with this class. Okay, now we're getting ready for the last card. I'm only using a couple stamps with this one. I'm going to use the thanks for all you do, and I'm going to use this flower right here. And then I've already done the die cutting of this, but this was the die that I used to die cut it. And once again, I used the Nested Essentials dies, and this time I'm also using the rectangle ones. I'm using the second smallest one. So that was the one I used. That one's already die cut in the card kit. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get the stamping done. This is that second smallest die cut. It was die cut out of a piece of basic white. The whole sheet was 2 3/4 by 3 1/4. That did the label and the big flower die that I showed you that I used. Okay, I'm going to grab my Wild Wheat ink pad and the thanks for all you do. And I'm going to stamp this over to the right. Still center it up and down, but I want it over to the right. Hold it down for a few seconds, get the ink soaked in. There we go. So we've got that one ready. And then the only other thing I need to stamp is the inside of the card. And this one's a little smaller than I normally do. This one is a, 3.5 by 4 3/4 inches. I'm going to use that flower and use the Moody Mauve ink pad. And I'm just going to stamp this in Moody Mauve, and that's it. It looks pretty in a color too. There we go. So that's the inside of the card. Since it's a smaller piece, I didn't want to do too much, and I think that's just perfect to make it match with the outside of the card. So that is all the stamping. So I'll get this out of the way. Oh, I do need this paper though. I want to grab that big flower, and I'm going to use Moody Mauve again and Wild Wheat. I'm going to use some sponge daubers. First off, I'm going to get the flowers done. So I'm going to use my Moody Mauve. And I'm going to start in the center. I'm going to take a little bit of the ink off because this is juicy. I'm going to go here in the middle and move out. I'm holding on to the flower because I don't want to rip it off that little stem. But instead of pouncing on it, I'm actually doing some brush strokes. I think it looks, I went back and forth and did both, and I liked it better with doing it more of like a brush stroke. So kind of do that. I kind of want that middle to be a little darker, so I'm going to kind of swirl that a little bit. There we go. So we've got that one done. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to make it a little darker on the bottom than on the top. It just kind of gives it a little bit of a dimension. So I've got that a little darker than the top. So let me see if I can get that white. Now you can kind of see what it looks like getting a white area. Then I'm going to use Wild Wheat. And this is going to be the color for my leaves. So I'm brushing on these two, but I'm holding on, using a light touch, because once again, I don't want to rip those off. When I do the leaves, I'm kind of going like the length from the bottom to the top, inking that up. So there we go. So isn't that neat looking? So I'll put that to the side. So that's all ready to go. Now I can close these up because they're all done with the ink pads. I'll just start putting this together. I'm going to grab my card base, which is a piece of Moody Mauve, 5.5 by 8.5. Get those corners lined up again. Get my bone folder. Okay, I'll put this to the side. And now I'm going to get another piece of basic white. This is the same size as the one that's on the inside, 3.5 by 4 3/4. So you'll find two of these, so grab that last one. And then grab the bubble bath piece. This is 3 1/4 by 4.5, and I've already embossed it with that Fern 3D embossing folder. Another 3D one, so some of the pieces, leaves of the fern are higher than the others. I love the 3D ones, but this embossing folder is in the annual catalog as well. I'm going to turn this over, and it's going to go on the center of this white piece. Right here. That looks pretty good. And, oh, I do want to put some ribbon on that. Actually, not ribbon, it's trim. This is a piece of that natural wavy trim. It's a 5-inch piece. And once again, I'm going to use my tearing tape. And while I'm putting this together, I do want to say that I got the card layout from Mary Fish. She used a totally different stamp set, different colors, but I love the card layout, so, or the sketch, or whatever you want to call it. So, you know what? I want to put this on last. It really doesn't matter because it's going to be covered up, but I think it works better if I put this on there and then add the DSP and the other white cardstock piece on here. It kind of makes them bubble a little bit. So I'm going to do this way. So I'll put that to the side. This is a piece of basic white that's 2 by 4 inches. And this is another piece that fresh as a daisy, 1 3/4 by 3 3/4. So put this on here. And this is just going to go right in the center, like so. And then it just gets attached to the right side of the bubble bath layer. So bring this back in. Figure out which side I like better. I don't think it really matters. Let's go ahead and do this. And then I'm going to put, what I'm going to do, the border on the top and bottom and the right side. I want to be about the same of the bubble bath around that. Okay, now I want to put this around here. Like I said, this is all going to be covered up here, but the only reason I'm doing it is because I don't want this to be bubbling up, because this is kind of thick. So I think I like it just about there. I'm going to turn this over. You know what? Let me grab my tear and tape again. I messed this up last time. It's easier to get the tear and tape off first. Find the end here. There we go. Go ahead and get those two pieces off. Okay. Now I'll get this placed again where I want it. About right here, maybe up a little bit higher. Bring this around. And I'm going to put one of the pieces right here. Okay. And this holds this on a lot better than just putting a seal on the cardstock. And then put this piece across here too. You just always want to make sure that it's longer than the width of the ribbon when the tear and tape. Okay, that's ready to go. So now we can go ahead and get seal on here. And let me take your picture and make sure that tear and tape is pushed down really good. See if I can find a spot that the paper's going to come off. Oh, there we go. That's better. Peel this off. Do the same over here. You want to be careful that you don't lift off the tape also. Okay. Then I'll put this in the center. I kind of liked having more of the Moody Mauve showing on this one. And plus, that's the way she had it on her kit, or her sketch. I thought that looked really good. Sometimes I like showing the card base a little more than I normally do. So we've got that on there. Now I'm going to grab the thank you, or the thanks, that is. I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to put some dimensionals on it. And I'll just put one in each corner. This one's small enough, I don't think we need one in the center. Okay. Take the paper backings off. Well, this one doesn't want to come off. There we go. Every once in a while you get one that's a pain. Now, and also I didn't want one in the middle because it's going to be on this ribbon and I don't want to have a little bubble there. So this is going to go right over the ribbon, but centered with over that DSP, okay? It's just a little bit wider than that DSP and basic white layer. Put that down. Then I want to grab the flowers. Now on this one is going to be going on top of here, so I do not want a dimensional on there. I only want a dimensional on this left side. So when I turn it over, it's the right side. So I'm going to grab my minis again. I'm going to put one right here in the center. Another one on this bigger leaf. And I'm going to take the other half of that one that I cut on, I think it was the first card. So I have another little narrow strip. And that's going to go on this leaf right here. I'm not going to worry about putting anything on here. I think I am going to put a little bit of seal right on this flower. And then I will take the paper backings off. Oh, don't know if I got that off. Nope, I did. Yay. Okay, now I will put this here. I want this flower to be next to the thanks, but I don't want it covering it up. I think I'm even going to move it a little bit. Don't want to move it too much because we don't want to mess it up. But it does have some give to it, so you can angle the flowers the way you want them. There we go. That looks pretty good. So I'll go ahead and put these down. So that's ready to go. Now we need to put some bling. Actually, let's go ahead and put the inside in. I wanted it to look like the outside, so that's why I did the same size white for the inside and have that wide Moody Mauve border around it. There we go. Now we'll put some bling on it. And this time, you can use the Moody Mauve if you want to, but I wanted to use one as a center, so I'm going to use the Wild Wheat. So I'm going to grab a medium-sized one this time. I'm going to put it on the center of my flower. I'm going to grab a big one and put it here in the bottom right corner of my greeting. And then I'm going to grab a small one and I'm going to put it down here. So there is card number 3. So I hope you enjoyed all the cards. Let me grab all the other cards so you can see them all together. So there was the second one and there's the first one. There we go. So I hope you enjoyed today's class. If you want to get those card kits, make sure you get your orders placed by the end of the day of August 23rd. That's next Wednesday. It's the end of the day in your time zone because I won't place the order till the next morning for me. So if you're in the Pacific, then 11:59 p.m. Pacific time, that'll work. So, but get those orders placed. I'll have the picture pop up again showing you everything you need to do. But also, you can click on that card class at home link down below in the video description to get all the information too. That way you don't have to worry about keeping the video paused to get all written down. It's all there for you on that page. So next week I will be back with a real live. I'll be back in person. As long as I don't get sick again, I don't plan on that happening. I'm feeling real good now, so thankfully I'm over that, whatever that was. But I hope you guys are all healthy. Take care of yourselves. And I will be, like I said, I'm going to be at this crafting retreat making a lot of different projects. So hopefully I'll have some, be able to come back and make some videos for you. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week and have a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you again next week and see you in some of my recorded videos as well. Remember, the live starts next week, Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye, guys.